Okay, stay tuned. We're going to show you how the Macs preserve years worth of food in a big area, but we're going to show you how you can do it in a small area, how you can preserve your own food. And you don't have to be young like Colby here. You can be 50, 60, 70 years old and still do this. Live in an apartment, a small duplex, a small house, small acreage, and you can still have long-term food storage for you and your family. So stay tuned. Hey, what are you two doing over there? Hey, hey. Pearl and Percy will just grunt at us, huh, Brandy?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys watched our last video, we were at the Macs. If you didn't watch our last video, let Colby introduce himself.
Yes, I'm Colby from the Macs. My wife is somewhere around here, but we're going to be talking about some gardens today and some pantries.
So you got, how many gardens do you guys have?
We have 2 major gardens, and then we have what we call our kitchen garden and also a kitchen garden. So we look at everything in a permaculture zone. So we're in the 2 big gardens, and then we're going to work our way into the house.
Awesome. So what we're going to show them from the garden pretty much to the table. You guys, all the stuff, how you preserve it and stuff, but they need to stay tuned because you're going to talk about, you and Miss are going to talk about how you don't have to do what you're doing to prepare, have food storage, and you'll talk about a small scale.
Absolutely.
If you do live in an apartment or your house by yourself with no land.
Absolutely. We have what we call our kitchen garden is devoted to small urban style gardening that anyone can do.
Awesome.
Anyone can do it.
This is gonna be fun. So stick around to see that, because I know a lot of you guys can't do this. Brandy and I, we could do this. We haven't done this yet. We wanted to come see how you're doing it, so maybe we can in the future.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna let Colby take over from here. If you guys are not subscribed, go to the Macs and the Macs Life. And for all that you already have, thank you very much. I know you guys appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much.
So where are we at here? I'll let you take over.
So right here, this is one of our main big gardens. We call this our field garden because we tend to grow corn and we grow our peas. In the south, we look at zones. Okay, what zone are we in? We're in zone 8B, so that means we have a longer growing season. So we've already grown 1 set of corn and 1 set of peas. We've then also harvested those, and then at the same time we're succession planting as well. So we have a secondary set of field corn and a secondary set of peas. The whole purpose is I want to add back to the land, so the peas is adding back to the land, but at the same time we're having a harvest of corn that can go throughout the season. So we're not just raising it for the spring, we're raising it for spring, summer, and even into the fall. So that's kind of what this is. And then we have some pumpkins because we enjoy them. Second and third set of tomatoes. We grow tomatoes 12 months out of the year, from the gardens to the greenhouse.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys got, well, how do you guys preserve most of this?
So most of this, we look at forms of preservation as canning, freezing, of course, dehydrating, and just simply enjoying fresh food. So we try to hit every aspect of the garden and make sure this garden can hold long. This corn doesn't need to last forever. It needs to last the next year when we grow corn again.
Yeah.
So that's
you got any heads growing yet, or is it still young?
No, this is still young. This is a field corn, so it's going to go real tall. It won't be as pretty as your sweet corn, but it goes really, really tall.
Awesome. So what do you got here? Squash and...
So this is pumpkins here. This is just for fun. We actually don't enjoy pumpkins personally, eating them, but because we're organic, this is some of the things we do for deworming when it comes to animals. So we grow pumpkins. We enjoy it for, of course, Halloween and just for the season of fall, but then it goes right to the animals and feeds them.
Awesome. So you see, you got for your dewormers, you got your tomatoes.
That's right.
And then you got your peas.
Out, and this is the peas. Now in the south, we love growing field peas of any kind. So this is a lady cream pea. If you're not growing lady cream peas, you don't know what you're missing. But these are cream peas. This is a secondary set for the year. We actually have a third succession set growing already in another garden. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
And you do have a back to Eden garden?
Absolutely.
Awesome. We'll show them that too.
Absolutely.
That's in a smaller spot.
That's right. So it shows we do all forms of gardening because we do a lot of workshops to teach people how to grow their own food. So we will talk raised gardens, we'll talk hugelkultur, we'll talk even the small back to Eden garden, so anyone can do any form of this.
This is awesome.
This is my favorite.
Now I did see you eat about 4 pounds of peas last night.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So we believe in stewardship, so I got to overeat all the good foods that we grow
Absolutely. So where do you want to go next?
Let's jump and look at the other big garden, that one we're letting go to seed.
All right, let's go. So he said we're in a no-till garden. I think that's what most of our gardens end up being, is no-till weeds.
And see, the thing is, now these, it looks ugly through here because this is where you're wanting them to die and give a seed for next year.
Yeah.
So we've already pulled 4 harvests off these rows here. This is lima beans, Henderson Bush lima beans, and then what we call field peas. So they're growing seeds still, but because they've kind of lived their life. For instance, let me show you. Okay, so this right here.
Yep.
They've lived their life. So now what we're gonna do, instead of eat these peas, these will be the seeds for next year.
For next year, yeah.
So we're letting them die on vine. So this part of the garden, we call it the ugly garden, but it's because it's gotta die to give us life for next year.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely. So that's what these are doing. These are just playing out. So this was our first set. You just saw our second set, and this is our third set. So we have another set of peas growing to give us a longer harvest. So even when we're harvesting the ones that you just saw, we've already harvested these. These will be deeper in the season.
All right, I got to ask you what this is all about.
I got mad one day.
What'd you do? Just bend that?
I got mad one day. I bent it.
Oh my gosh, Colby.
No, this is called not seeing something when I need to use the tractor.
I've been there plenty of times.
But I'll be honest with you, I thought about using this to bend. It makes me feel
Hey,
manly,
you can straighten that back up and reuse it. You're a homesteader, ain't you?
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, you can find something for that. So, I've come to conclusion. Either peas are really simple to grow here, or you guys really love them.
It's a little bit of both. So what we've learned to do is you say, okay, what grows better in my area? And I don't want to fight against that.
Yep.
So if I know sweet potatoes and peas grow really good here, let's enjoy sweet potato and peas more than we enjoy something that may be harder to grow. So we enjoy growing the hard things too, but we know they grow good. Why not say, let's work with the current on these and know we can grow sustainable food?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point to make to new people that are trying to grow stuff. Find out what grows well in your area.
That's right. Look at what other people are doing and learn from them. And that's one thing we learned here. We may love English peas, but English peas don't go great in the South. So we may grow some, but we know that's not our longevity. That's not our one we're going to success plant like these. And these are the ones we want. Sweet potatoes, some sweet potatoes we planted were 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
It's sustainable food.
That's crazy.
And every animal can eat it. And so you can eat these. We dehydrate all these.
You eat the leaves of the sweet potatoes?
Absolutely. Unlike most potatoes, which are nightshade, sweet potato is in the morning glory family. So it's a vining, almost reminds you of like turnip greens or anything like that. So you can take it, dehydrate it and powder it and put it on things, or you can literally stew it down and eat it just like you would any other green.
Get you one of them and try it. You ain't gonna try it? And you got a livestock guardian dog.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
You hot? It is hot. So what we got here?
So here we've got another form of growing. This is where we put the weed barrier down. Again, helps with weed suppression, especially in the South, but also grass suppression. We have soybeans growing in here. Now, the whole point of the Caterpillar tunnel that we bought it for was not for really summer growth. We were just trying out soybeans. We typically grow our cold vegetables in here, cold weather vegetables in here. So Brussels sprouts, broccolis, lettuces, and it allows them to be covered, insulated, get the sun, but not get the really brash cold. So,
more beans.
Yeah, these are soybeans here.
Here you go.
So if you ever like eat edamame, like like an Asian version of a pea, steamed in these are fine. So you can steam these, put a little salt on them.
Yeah, tastes good, huh?
Yeah, they're so good. Is this not the best crop for us to grow ever? Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes the best?
Yep.
Why do we grow them though?
Well, there's a number of reasons. That's kind of a loaded question. They do well in our area. They grow in abundance, and the leaves are edible, which grow outside and underground. The sweet potatoes are edible, so it's kind of like a 2-for-1 deal.
2 for 1.
And actually just freeze dried a lot of those and ground them into powder, and we'll use them in smoothies. But then they just grow so well in our area where you can't mess them up,
So we're growing these in a raised bed. Anyone can grow these, but this one container here will grow enough sweet potatoes for most families for a whole year.
Wow.
And what's so cool is, like Misty was talking about, you can eat the leaves, you can eat the actual tubers, the actual sweet potatoes. But then say, for instance, you do have animals and you're trying to supplement, save money on feed, this is a perfect feed for any animal.
And it's a cycle too where you can keep sweet potatoes going, and I have like a whole video dedicated just to sweet potatoes because the process is so cool because once you get like a sweet potato and you get this cycle going and you learn what to do, you can provide sweet potatoes for your family for the rest of your life and never have to buy another sweet potato.
Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing. Sustainable food. So don't fight against the things that grow good in your area.
Yeah.
Fight with them.
It makes perfect sense. That's a good tip, that if you've never gardened before and you're getting into it, I would say that's probably one of the most important things. Find what grows good in your area and then figure out your soil and all that.
This is more sweet potato. With the sweet potato right behind it, we have different raised beds. We also have asparagus, which are perennials. So we're always trying to grow things that are annual, things that are biennial, and then also things that are perennial. So therefore we have different stages of everything growing at all times.
Wow. So for someone, so you got a lot of acreage, obviously. For someone who may live in the city, live in an apartment or duplex, is there anything here that we can show them that they could possibly do?
Well, the raised beds are the easiest. But say, for instance, what Misty calls our kitchen garden. This is kind of permaculture zone 1. We have hundreds of things growing just right here. So this is a back to Eden style garden.
It's like 25 by 25. It's not very big.
It's not big at all. But look what we have. We have sweet potatoes, we have marigold, we have basil, we have oregano, we have tomatoes, raspberries, we have ginger, turmeric, lemongrass. We have some things for the bees, marigold, echinacea, mullein.
You've got things I never even heard of.
Yeah, so all this stuff, this is not only for food, this is medicines, herbal medicines that we grow. So we can plant, and the benefit of it is you find what plants best. You know, what goes good with tomatoes, it's marigolds and basil. So then we can utilize our space very wisely and they grow good together. So that tight spacing can actually benefit you.
Yeah, so this is you can consider this a very small backyard garden.
That's exactly right.
If you have this backyard, like I said, this is like 25 by 25. It's not big, but he's got so much stuff going on here that any of you guys can do it. Just find what grows best in your area.
And see how we use your space wisely. We have vertical growing, we have arches, we have a higher canopy with the crab apples and the blueberries. So then you can plant underneath it. So you're using your space the best of your ability to grow right next to each other and under each other and make almost like a canopy for your shady plants.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know one thing that I've peddled with, and you got a little bit in there, is hydroponics.
Yeah.
I kind of had a system you got, but we used to grow some in 5-gallon buckets that people could do that on a balcony. That you can actually probably do it in your living room if the environment was right, you had the lights on and stuff. But you guys can do this too. I know a lot of you guys may be a little bit older and you can't handle all the tilling and weed pulling. The raised beds is a great option.
Absolutely.
We have some raised beds that we enjoy doing, but the bucket gardening, you do some bucket gardening. Look at this, he does a little bit of everything. You got some bucket plants here that people can do this too.
That's right. So if you do the soil, that's great. But like you were talking about with hydroponics, let's go in the hydroponics. Let's talk about it.
I just wanted to come in here because of air conditioners.
Yeah. So the two things, and you hear the air conditioner, so we're going to talk over it. But I want to show you how we can possibly grow in hydroponics. Now this is a bigger version of it, but they make small tanks that are literally just like $50, and you can put fish in it and do the same thing. So we can grow on top of fish. There's fish in this pond. You can see, let's see if we can get on the move a little bit.
You already got some sprouting right here.
Yeah, so this is some lettuce growing. All it takes is this one little grow light and these beautiful fish under here that's giving us fertilization.
You got roots coming down over here yet? Oh, there's fish underneath there.
Fish underneath there. So let's see underneath here. I don't know if we got the roots yet.
Not yet, but they will be.
That's right. So we literally can grow on top. We can grow in different versions of hydroponics and never have to use soil whatsoever. We use the fish to fertilize.
So you're literally doing this like it would be your living room.
Like a living
room,
absolutely. It's on 71 in here, insulated, and we're using a grow light, and we actually have food growing without any natural sun, which we hope that you use sun, but if you're not able to, say you live in an apartment, this is perfect for you.
That's awesome.
Yum. And this key lime I actually have growing up, and it's spending more time right now because I've up-potted. You can see I have a couple of key limes here, and I have a couple of key limes here. But it's right now, because I just put it in a bigger pot, it's spending more time growing instead of producing fruit. Yeah. But now these over here that have, like this one for example, that has been in here for a while, so its roots have kind of already caught up. This is actually a kumquat tree though, and you can see that it is loaded.
Yeah.
It's loaded.
How big do they get?
They don't get much bigger than
Okay.
this, but you can, and they're a little tart,
Oh, maybe
but they're
like-
full
See the one?
right here.
Yeah, like is that
Yeah,
one more?
Yeah, so this
okay.
one, it's already starting to turn, and they turn like yellow. They almost look like lemons, like mini
Like a
lemons,
tiny lemon,
kind of.
yeah.
And they are real tart like a lemon, but they're packed full of vitamin C. So that's one of the main reasons I grow them, because I will come and pick all these and freeze dry them, turn them into powder, and then put them in capsules. So that's how we get our natural vitamin C. And the same thing with the orange tree outside. But it has gone through years where one year it does really well, and then the next year maybe not so well. So in these are key limes. Now these will keep growing. These will get a little bit bigger than this before they're ready. Maybe double or triple the size. They don't grow big, but they definitely grow bigger than the kumquats. But it's been real fun to have these trees because they're so unique. You know, not a lot of people do the citrus stuff, but in Mississippi, in our greenhouse, it's like the perfect little environment for them.
Okay, so that's just a few of the things that he has going on. We don't have time to show you guys everything and make a 3-hour video because you got a lot going on. But there's one thing I want to hit on, and I want to get into what you guys are doing. We've done a little bit, but nothing compared to what you guys. But that's what goals are for, right? And people think you're crazy if you do long-term food storage. If you put food away for the next year or the year after that. Me and Colby just had a conversation off camera. I want him to explain the importance of a good harvest and preserving that food for the future.
So this tree here is a plum tree. It is so productive. I mean, there's times we can get 80 to 100 gallons worth of plums, and you're thinking, who can eat 80 to 100 gallons worth of plums? But here's the benefit. 2 years ago, we had the biggest harvest we ever had, and we started putting up a lot of that in preserves and plums and dehydrating and just keeping plums. And people ask, why are we doing so much? Well, this year, we had a cold snap that went longer, and it actually stunted our plums, and we had no plums come this year. Same with our blueberries. But we're still eating plums, still eating blueberries from the harvest we had 2 years ago. So even though we had a great season and we can say, oh, we're not worried about putting that up, we'll have it for next year. What if next year doesn't come? What if all of a sudden the season doesn't allow that for weather or for any situation that takes place?
An injury like me you talked about, do you get hurt?
And say, for instance, something happens to this tree and gets diseased. You never know. So for us, if we can build that sustainability to say we want our harvest to go into the season, that's the importance of a pantry and building that sustainable agriculture, or that preserving amount of food.
Talking about pantries, you want to go in and see what you guys get going on?
Absolutely, we'll go in. So this is Misty's prized possession with her eggs. Actually, this morning, y'all's eggs that y'all ate were a year old. Can you imagine you ate year-old raw eggs?
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy. So this is water glassing. This is the class that Misty taught at the Okie Homestead. And it was really neat to be able to say, we're eating eggs that has nothing on it other than lime and water, and we can scramble these eggs, we can cook with these eggs, and they're good for a year, 2 years, 3 years. So
actually, somebody mentioned at the expo that they had eggs put up for like 5 years.
Oh wow, just from doing this?
Yep.
That's right. So there's probably, I would say, 500 to 700 eggs in all these jars. Think about your chickens when they go through, if you have chickens, you know, during the winter they slow down. Or maybe when they're molting and losing feathers, they slow down. Maybe a predator has got your chickens. So this is a way that we have sustainability again with eggs through some of those off seasons. Water glassing is key when it comes to preserving eggs.
And you don't have to have electricity.
No electricity.
That's what's so cool about it.
It took nothing to do these eggs other than basically 2 ingredients and a glass jar, an old pickle jar
and
from baseball.
and a tip to be able to get all those jars is I literally just used social media and was like, hey guys, if you have any jars, don't get rid of them. And I actually had a lady find a box at a garage sale. It was like a
estate sale. They were trying to get rid of just
jars, and she found the whole box for like $10.
That's awesome.
So I got all those jars for almost nothing. And then one of my friends owns a snowball stand here in our town, and she passes jars to me. So there are ways to go about even getting jars for almost pennies to nothing if you just let people know you want their jars.
So this is a perfect example, like me and you were talking about. If you live in the city, if you live in an apartment, how can you do long-term food storage this looks like to me one of the easiest and maybe less expensive ways to do it, because eggs have went up in this grocery store, but they're still one of the cheaper proteins.
They are. So a lot of times, when it's spring and summer and we see farms have all these chicken eggs, a lot of times they start selling them for bulk price. Go and buy those and then look at what you can do. Unwashed eggs, you can make this protein source last for years to come with nothing. All you need is lime, water, and the old pickle jar.
Yeah, and so like even if you don't have chickens, you can find a local farmer, family friend that has chickens, and just tell them, hey, don't wash your eggs.
Yeah.
We want them.
So this came to me. It's the perfect example. If you guys are out there and you can't do what you guys do, or even a little bit of stuff that we do, you can definitely do this. This is looks like one of the most simple long-term food storage, that the most bang for your buck too.
Absolutely.
All the eggs all the things you can do with eggs.
That's right.
So that's awesome. They can go do this right now.
That's right. And see, when we talk about food preservation, you need to think, okay, proteins, fats, carbs. I mean, it's really your thought pattern. Well, here's your protein source. If it's learning how to can, think about all the things you can can. You can can butter, which is your fats. You can buy store-bought butter and put it up, and it's good for off-grid for years. Same way with carbs, same way with vegetables, same way with eggs.
That's awesome. Brandy, when are you and the girls going to start doing this?
No, we will, now that we have our pantry.
on your channel, you're going to be showing this soon. Yeah. Okay, so I really want to highlight their pantry, things in their pantry. You guys could do pretty much everything they got in this pantry, but some things that you may not even think of that you can do, we're getting ready to show you. Missy's going to go over some of the simplest proteins that you guys could start doing food storage today. All right, so what we got going on?
Well, really, you know, a lot of the stuff that we have canned, a lot of it did come from our farm. But say you don't have a farm because you're living in an apartment or the city or whatever. A lot of the things, yeah, so we didn't actually grow these. Those I got at a really, really nice deal from Azure. We buy a lot of things from Azure Standards. So, yes, so I was able to can those and put them just right up on the shelf. But even when we're talking about proteins or whatever, this is, again, things that you can find and you can buy in bulk. This happens to be pork. This is also ground pork. I do have some beef too, and then this is chicken. After you make your chicken, you can turn around and can chicken broth. And it's just a matter of having the availability of a kitchen and a canner, and that's really all you need. You can take anything that you buy from the store and put it on the shelf for long-term storage.
So this doesn't look very good. Does it taste good?
Fat. It's fat.
But the meat, does it taste good? That's what people are scared of, canned meat.
Yeah, so this to me, if I was going to use this ground pork, I wouldn't try to patty this out in sausage. Okay. So if I was going to make a breakfast casserole, I'd pop it right over in there. If I was going to make turnip green soup, I would pop it right over in there.
Spaghetti.
So.
This is not sausage, so you can make spaghettis. If you're making a soup, a stew, tacos, anything like that. You have now taken it to where you have fast food. This is a homesteader's fast food. Yeah. It allows you to say, you know what, I want to be able to take it to the can, put the seasoning in it, and bam, you've got a whole meal right there.
See, to me, this does look good.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I think, like you said, you put that in taco, no one's even going to know it was in a can.
So we had tacos and spaghetti, and they were both half beef and half pork.
Yeah, you won't even know.
Don't
even
That's
know.
awesome.
But guess what? You didn't have to have 7 freezers worth of storage and electricity to put it up. It's in a can on a shelf that could fit in anybody's house.
Exactly, that's awesome. So what you guys got back here is most of this from your garden?
Most of it is from our garden. There's only a couple of things that are not. The English peas, and then on my other canning rack, I might have a little bit of a problem. Okay, I'm gonna admit it. Okay, so I do have some corn in there and some pineapple that was bought, and then I had some locals give me some pears, so I canned all that stuff up. But pretty much all of the rest of it has come from off the farm.
You know, and when you get in seasons, you can check with grocery stores or small co-ops. You'd be surprised how many times they'll sell reduced or bulk pricing on things because they have a surplus. Like potatoes during that season, they may sell potatoes in a sack for a good price, and you don't think you can eat that much. You can't, but you can can them, and then you've got potatoes to last all year.
Yep. So what's, you guys will know this, if this got hot, is it still good, or does it have to stay a certain temperature?
So I wouldn't personally want to store any of my canned items in a really hot. Now, if it gets warm, I'm not going to toss it. But if it is consistently warm, it's not recommended to store it like that. So I do try to, this is all things that I use. So obviously you see that there's light coming in here. but I wouldn't want to always have my canned products in a hot or a very lit environment for very long, because the quality of your food is just not going to be as well. You do really want to store them in a cool, dark place if possible. But as you can see, this is the food that we eat on. Brandy and I was discussing how we eat on this. Kind of once this section goes out, the section that I have behind it comes in, and the newer stuff that I'm bringing in cannon goes in that spot. So it's like a rotation. It's rotating without really rotating, if that makes sense.
So if the power goes out, say for a week, no air conditioner, Mississippi, will this still be good in the house?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The benefit is it's cooked. You could pop it open and eat it.
Start eating on it. Come here, kids.
Want to, so yes, in that situation that you just brought up, yes. But I wouldn't want to go like put this in extra spots in my greenhouse, or if I had a shed outside that where I wanted to put that in there for years where it was hot or, you know, whatever, I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Yeah. So they live in an apartment, a duplex. They can put this underneath their bed. It could be there for years, a couple years, however long that lasts.
Yep.
We had some in our bathroom one time, literally, like in underneath cabinets.
You're not supposed to be telling people that.
I guess if you're using the restroom, you can read about your ground pork or chicken broth.
That's awesome. So Misty, what's your favorite way to preserve food? With all the different ways that you got, what do you prefer the most?
My freeze dryer.
So convenient, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just, I really like canning. You know, there is that window, you know, they'll say 1 to 2 years. I actually have a couple of pickles up there, the sweet pickles that I used from 2017, and there's nothing wrong with them.
Good.
You know, obviously I check the seals and make sure that the lids the seal hasn't come open or whatever. But there's a lot of prep work to canning. Really with your freeze dryer, and you'll know this, it's kind of like you just put it in there, you know, and then the way that it preserves the food, the nutrients still remain intact, which is beautiful because you do want nutrient dense foods. And then it lasts for years and years and years and years, which is even more beautiful. So the freeze dryer is probably my favorite.
I'd say that's mine too. I did some pork loin. Okay, my camera shut off. It got hot. Like, it's not hot in Mississippi, is it?
No,
just a little bit. So anyways, what I was saying, I freeze dried some pork loin. I put it in a bag, and I was going to go camping, hunting or something. Put it back in my truck in the back seat, and I forgot all about it for 10 months. Then I found it. Then I did a video, and I opened it up, and was it reconcentrated or whatever you call it? Constituted. Reconstituted it, heated up. It tastes just like I pulled off the smoker yesterday. It was awesome.
Beautiful. It was fine, you know, and he's like, I'm going to try this. Even when the girls tried it, too.
It was one of the first things that I actually did with the freeze dryer, meat-wise, that we tried, and it tastes just like I pulled up the smoker.
You probably shouldn't have left it in your truck, but
it was fine,
Well, and I also love it too because, like, and I've done a comparison video where I've taken freeze-dried food and dehydrated foods and shown the difference, and like you can even see the difference in the quality of the food, because blueberries, when you take them out of a dehydrator, all it's done is remove the water out, and now you have hard little berries that you literally can't even eat. A freeze dryer preserves it so differently. I mean, it's the same technique but a different method. So they're both removing water out, but because they're done differently, the way their food is preserved is so much different. So that's why even when I would put like mullein or basil, if I put it in the dehydrator, it shrinks up and turns brown. If I put it in the freeze dryer, it immediately freezes it, preserves the color, and then it goes into the vacuum seal, removes the water while it's in that frozen state, and then it's still bright green. And like you can see, I put them in a jar together, and like you can see the difference. It's amazing.
It's crazy,
I love the freeze dryer. It really is.
Okay, so we've went through the garden, all from outside pretty much to the table, and we've been here 2 or 3 days, been eating all your guys' food that you've been saving for the last. They pulled all the 3-year-old food out, and we've been eating it the last few days now. It's been a great time. We can't thank you guys enough for having us and open up your home to our channel to show all the cool stuff that you guys are doing, and the stuff. It's a necessity. If you're not doing this, you probably should if you can, right?
Absolutely.
Words of encouragement for anyone starting out, wanting to do it. We keep saying this, the apartment complexes. This is for anyone, though. So what's some words of encouragement?
I would say don't think it's going to happen overnight, because this has been years worth of a build up. You can do it. Take baby steps. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. It is just a process. You know, it just takes time. but to not overwhelm yourself and know that you have to take baby steps. It just doesn't happen overnight. So you want to jump in and do all the things, and if you take on too much at one time, then you're like, oh, I can't do it. Take baby steps and get there.
It's probably easy to get overwhelmed, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. If you jump into something too fast and either don't do the research behind it or just put too much on your plate, it can be very overwhelming. So just baby steps. No, it just doesn't happen overnight. It just takes time.
That's awesome. So this is to show this. It's an encouragement to the audience and for us to be able to come see this. It's not a discouragement. Like, we can't get discouraged because we want this now. Like you said, it takes time. Just like building a YouTube channel. It usually don't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes a lot of work.
But see, this may have been a lot of work and a lot of successes that we see on the shelf, but there was a lot of failures too.
Yep.
And it helped us be motivated to say, okay, what did we do wrong? What can we learn from it? And it goes back to planning. It goes back to, like Missy said, having the little successes to say, you know what, that was a win. Let's take the win, let's enjoy the successes, and let's see what we can do to make the failures even better, to make them successes as well.
That's awesome. So do you guys you set goals each year, or do you guys just, let's get the best harvest we possibly can and store as much food as we can?
Our goal has been, we used to try to grow millions of things. And I know when you go outside, you see it's like a lot of things growing. But we've learned to say, okay, we want to grow what grows best here. So if we know these things thrive because we've done it year over year, why not do the same things? Yep. Yes, we want years and years and years worth of food. But if we just grow enough to make sure that we're getting through the year that we're in, then we start preserving for the years that's coming, then it starts adding up, and all of a sudden you have a surplus of a lot of food, a lot of preps, and you've done really good to have those successes.
So you guys have 6 children, right? 6 children. And you're prepared to be able to feed those children and yourself for a long time if necessary. Like you said, it didn't happen overnight. It took years to be able to do this. Decades.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But you guys are...
And we started from scratch, like we were telling
we
y'all.
We know nothing. We were not raised like this.
We were not raised like this, but also our land was nothing but trees.
Yeah.
When we moved here, we literally started from scratch. So
if you guys can do it,
anybody can
do it.
Anybody can do it.
All right, Brandy, what should they do if they're not subscribed?
No. I'm just listening.
Okay. What should they do if they're not subscribed to the Max Life and the Max?
y'all check us out.
Please subscribe and let us know that you came from Dutch so we can thank him for all these people that come over.
All right, we'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.